Caroline Jaden Stussi, actress and entertainment attorney in Los Angeles. It is my honor to contribute to the Me Too movement because I do feel that together we can make differences. As an actress and as a woman, I have experienced and witnessed sexual harassment myself. This initiated longing to understand the mechanics of it, and the result of it was a short film called Nameless, the trailer of which you can see on this website. Bestseller author and psychologist George K. Simon helped me in the process of the film. Through him, I started to understand that at least at some point, most of us are both the victim as well as the perpetrator. And that's when it clicked for me. When one is victimized and helplessly pushed into the corner, it usually comes down to a fight or flight situation. And since whatever the perpetrator does to us makes us want to flight, but we can't because we are cornered with no ways of escape, we ultimately will have to fight. Now, in my research, I've come to know that almost every form of attack involves some degree of psychological manipulation. Now, since whatever the perpetrator is doing to us is working because it evokes such a strong reaction in us, we identify that behavior of the perpetrator, even if it were just on a subconscious level, as an effective tool of attack. Thus, in that moment, when we ourselves are in an attack position, in a fight position, we use usually the same or similar means of psychological manipulation on the perpetrator. Now, the perpetrator is cornered, going through similar experience that we just did, and at some point he will counterattack with similar psychological manipulation techniques. And we'll go on and on like that. We are now in a negative cycle. Thing is, both sides of harassment have usually, at least at some point, to some degree, been the victim as well as the perpetrator, gone through similar experiences. Thus, it makes sense to me to work through this together instead of pointing fingers at each other. And the start for me is to understand the mechanics of harassment, why somebody is doing what they are doing, and what the consequences of it are, etc. Because this way, we will help each other not only to understand our own doing, but the doing of the other person. This will lead to an insight on how we can behave better in a similar situation, as well as an understanding of that the other side has more similar experiences than we do than not. This will ultimately lead to healing, and this will help that we can forgive each other and make each other better. Now we're in a positive cycle. The gender claims often support some sort of underlying gender war, and it somehow makes sense because women are more obvious victims, especially in the entertainment industry, where more men than women hold executive positions. Thus, men are more often than women in a position of power, having the right connections and having the say. Thus, their psychological manipulation will more often than not be based on playing off their power. Whereas women play more with sexual attraction. Thus, their psychological manipulation will be based more on playing off sexuality. But both sides of the game manipulate each other to get what they want. Both are victims and perpetrators at the same time. Thus, it makes sense to me that we work in this together. We both created this situation where sexual harassment occurs because we've both been victims and perpetrators. It's not funny as a man to feel played and then ultimately feeling rejected. It hurts and is manipulative. As a woman, it doesn't feel nice to feel suppressed and being forced into things that one doesn't want to do, it hurts and is manipulative. Thus, it is my true belief that we should work together and we will come out strong in this. And I think it starts with common respect, appreciation, and understanding of the other side. To respect, appreciate, and understand our differences and how we perfectly complement each other. This involves also an open dialogue in which we share with each other how we are affected by what behavior and how we would like to be treated individually. My brother was called out a misogynist when on a date he opened the door for a girl. Well, on the next date, he was called out to be a misogynist because he let the girl open the door herself. What was good for one was bad for the other. But how are we supposed to know if it isn't communicated? I truly believe that together we can come strong out of this. One makes a difference. Together we make differences.